Hey guys, Dakota Adney here for aetuts.com, and today I'm going to be walking you guys through how to create a futuristic iPad, or as it may be rumored, the iPad 3. So let's jump into After Effects. I'm going to show you guys how we did this. Here's the full effect. Alright, that's what we're going to be creating. Now, before I show you guys how I did this inside of After Effects, let me explain a little bit about how I got all of the footage and how I layered it and everything. First off, I had to look at a bunch of regular iPad commercials like that Apple produces, like this one. Pause. Now after looking at a bunch of Apple commercials like this, I had to figure out how they set up the lighting so that I could make my commercial look as much like theirs as possible. After looking at a bunch of screenshots and watching dozens of iPad commercials on YouTube, I figured out that probably the best way to do it was have two hard fluorescent lights on each side of the actor and then a softbox over the top to smooth everything out. So here's a behind the scenes picture that I took when I was filming my footage. I should have taken some behind the scenes footage, but all I did was a picture here. You can see I have a light here, and then one light facing up, and it's reflecting off a reflector over the top to act as a softbox. Then my camera is positioned over the iPad, which was simply a sheet of plexiglass mounted to the top of a tripod, and then I put green screen all around it so that you could key everything out. Alright, so let's jump into After Effects real quick. And here is my original footage. As you can see, it's just green and then me holding the sheet of plexiglass, which is mounted to the top of the tripod. Let's take that footage and drop it into a new composition. Okay, we have that there. You'll probably notice that the only thing in this footage is my right hand. And I did that for a reason. When I held on to the iPad with the left hand, I was having a problem with it wiggling, and therefore having a problem with attaching the effects to the top of it. So I thought it was better to just use my right hand, barely touching it, so that it wouldn't move much. And then my left hand was a separate layer. So I'm going to drag my left hand footage into here, right on top of that. So I have my left hand, which is in the holding position, and then my right hand, which is doing all of the movements on the screen. Now the left hand footage you can see is sideways, but it doesn't really matter because all we're going to be using is this thumb and finger area to make it look like he's holding the corner of the vertical iPad. First thing we're going to do here is key out the hands. So we have both hands and they both look like they're holding the vertical iPad. Okay, so let's start with the left hand. We'll make a quick mask around the hand. Okay, now we can already see that it's starting to look like the left hand is in there with the right hand. We're just going to position it, I don't know, right about there. That's close enough. And then we're going to start with the keying. So we'll take the left hand, let's go to Effect, Keying, Color Key, and let me go ahead and turn off this right hand so we can just work with this one. And then take your color key and select the green. If you have shadows on your green, you may have to do more than one of these. But select one point of green and turn it to 15. And then as you can see we have more. So I'm going to take the color key, hit Control D to duplicate it, and select another color of green. And that got rid of most of it. We still have one more shade of green in here. So I'm going to do Control D again, and select that. Heck, we might even do one more. Let's try 4. We want to get as much of this green out of here as possible. Okay, that should work. Okay, now that looks pretty bad, as you can tell. So we're going to go to Effect, Matte, Simple Choker. We're wanting to get a nice clean green around the edge of the fingers, so probably about -5. That's big enough. Now go to Effect, Keying, Key Light 1.2. And you're going to take your eyedropper and select that green edge. There we go. And that keyed it out really well. We'll take the key light, we have to mess with the settings a little bit to get it to look exact. Screen gain, probably bring it up to about 110. And then the screen balance we'll take up to about 75. That looks about right. And then we'll mess with the screen matte a little bit. Most of these you'll be fine on, but we're going to work a little bit with the screen grow and shrink. Take that to about -1. And that looks pretty good. I think that's about all we'll need. Alright, now we have the left hand in there with the right hand. And we're going to take all these effects that we just did on the left hand and click the bottom one, click shift, and click the top one. And then we're going to copy them using Control C, and we're going to apply them to the right hand so that both hands are keyed out. And oh, I'm sorry, before we do that, we need to take the right hand and make a quick mask around the iPad and the hand to get rid of all the other stuff we have in the background. Okay, that'll do. Now we got rid of all that other stuff. Now, after you've taken the left hand effects and copied them, doing the bottom, shift click to the top, Control C, apply them to the other one by clicking it, and then clicking paste or Control V. And there we have it. We have our iPad and everything is keyed out. Now onto the background. What we're going to need to do for the background is create a background that looks similar to the iPad commercials background, which is this. It's just kind of a living room or something, I guess. Now I thought about actually like finding a living room and taking a picture of it, or maybe finding one on Google. But I thought the way to do it to make it look the most like the real iPad commercials was to use the actual picture. So what I did was I took a screenshot of an iPad commercial, a real iPad commercial, and I brought it into a new composition. I then took this and let's scale it a little bit to get rid of those letter boxes. Okay, I took it and then I masked out his legs and the iPad. I'm going to do a really rough mask, but you should probably take more time on this when you actually do it. Okay, now that has the iPad selected, but that's actually what we want to be non-selected. So if you'll select your layer here and click M, it'll bring up your mask options, and change that add to subtract, and that'll take out the iPad. So we have everything we need here, except for the information that's where his legs were. So we're going to take Paint, if you'll select your layer, and go up here to the Clone Brush tool, or actually I guess it's Command B, if you like keyboard shortcuts, and double click your layer to take it into its own little composition. And you're going to take the clone brush tool. You can mess with the sizes and everything over here in your paint options and brush options. And this is a pretty time consuming part. You're just going to take some of the information that's already in the scene, like the carpet here, and we're just going to have to like fake everything that's behind the knees here. We know if there's carpet here, then there's likely going to be carpet behind the knees. So if we just alt-click where there was some carpet, then we can take our clone brush, and it pretty much copies whatever we just clicked with the alt. And we can essentially fill in all of this transparent area with stuff that should be behind it. Like right here, there should probably be some wood flooring behind this. And after I get this to look presentable, I'm going to come back and this is about as good as I could get with paint, and that's about all you need, because your knees are going to be covering up most of this information right here that's kind of splotchy. Another thing I did besides using paint was create some solids to put on the walls. I thought that was much easier than having to sit there and paint back and forth to get the whole thing. So I just created a solid that's the same color as the wall, and just made a mask, a rectangular mask to cover that up. And then these highlights on the wall from the light are also just white solids that I thought it would be